Hello world and welcome to Elevated Intuition. Today we are talking about shuffling your cards. So whether that is playing cards, we'll talk about that, a tarot deck or an oracle deck that is very large. What kind of strategies can we use so that we're not like bending our cards and we're taking really good care of them? And sometimes, you know, we if we're reading for other people, how do we get their energy on it? But still, like, I hate handing over my cards because, you know, they are sacred to me. So we're going to talk about some strategies in that. So first of all, I am just going to basically unbox this. Of course, I've had this deck forever, but I'm just going to show you how these tarot decks come when you first get them. So you first get them and everything is in order. Now this is called zeroing out the deck. I like to go through and zero out my deck, which is basically just put it in order. I put all the major arcana in order, and then underneath that we have each of the suits. So I'm just going to break these apart so you can see that we have a bunch of different piles all in order. This goes from ace to king here for my wands, and then the same thing with the other suits like cups, ace to king here with our pentacles, right? Pentacles, there's our king. And ace to king here with our swords. So we have 5 groups. Everything is upright. Everything is really nice when we first get this. Again, if you've had a deck for a while, I like to zero it out just to make sure that I'm not missing any cards, make sure that I don't have, just get it reacquainted with it. Sometimes it's nice to go through and it kind of zeroes out the energy too. So if you've been using it a lot, you just kind of want to zero it out. When you want to do a reading now, you can't really use the deck like this. We need to have it random. We need to, you know, so that we can get those synchronicities in it. And we need to take a couple things into consideration, like, do you read reversals or do you read everything upright? So I'm just gonna place some piles here. We'll just do that. And the first thing that I want to do is shuffle this deck. So usually you have a deck, you break it in half, and you are going to what's called ripple shuffle it. That means that you have like the long ends and you're going to shuffle it like this. So the first problem that I have when I'm going to ripple shuffle, what I need to think about is, do I read reversals or do I read everything upright? Because what's going to happen if I ripple shuffle it like this, so I take my deck, I break it in half, I face them together. If I ripple shuffle it like this, I am going to have reversals. This is where I broke it in half and then the tops are both facing up. If I don't want that to happen, you want it like this. So we've got the top here, the bottom here, top here, bottom here. The bottoms are facing up, the tops are facing up, and then we're going to shuffle them together like that. This is why I chose this deck. First of all, I can shuffle it like that. It's small enough for me to do it. And then also you can tell by the backs that everything is facing the same way. So, strategy here. We break it in half. I just let that fall. So the bottoms are facing up, the tops are facing up here. Ripple, ripple shuffle, and do that. So I watched a mathematics video on cards, and if you shuffle them 7 times like that, you're going to get a completely random pattern. So you should be able to shuffle at least 7 times and get that random. Now, sometimes it's hard to do, especially as the cards get bigger, to do that ripple shuffle. I'm going to show you another shuffle. I like to do this when I'm working with somebody else. So I'm reading for a person, I want their energy on these cards, but I don't know what their shuffling ability is, and I am not going to let them damage my cards. It's just not worth it. If you I don't even know what this would be called, but you can completely randomize the cards like this. And actually it's one of the faster ways to get everything random is to put it out on a table. You want to make sure it's on a clean table and let your person get in here and randomize the cards, and then you bring everything together. The concern with a shuffle like this would be that you just want to make sure it's a clean space because you don't want stuff on your cards, that you have enough space to do it. And then the other concern is once we get all these cards back together like this, we're going to have reversals. So if you don't read reversals, just as you're going through here, you know, you pull this card, it comes out, you would just turn it upright. So that's another way to shuffle. And then the third way that I'm going to show you to shuffle really works better with these larger decks. This is probably my largest deck. It's an Oracle deck. If I try to ripple shuffle it, now remember I was just going to make a mistake there. I have the two tops facing up. I need this facing down so that when I'm done and I'm done shuffling it, everything is facing the same way. Okay, that's kind of difficult for me and my hands, my little hands. So we're going to do a side shuffle. So I'm going to break these in half. I'm just going to, like I'm riffle shuffling, but I am shuffling the short edge of this card. This is how I shuffle. I even shuffle this size deck this way, and it just makes more sense to me. If you're somebody who likes to read all upright, you don't really have to think about it as you're doing it. You can have a conversation with somebody else while they're telling you what they're interested in learning, what they want to know. As you're shuffling here, you're not going to accidentally get reversals if you don't do reversals. And then I think it's even easier when you're doing reversals because all you do is just, as you're shuffling, I turned that upside down, shuffle, turn it, break it in half, turn it upside down, shuffle, and then just keep going. This is my side shuffle here. So those are concerns here for shuffling your cards. Now, if you're reading for somebody else and you do all the shuffling, and usually this is what happens when I go get a professional reading, they just then hand me the deck, and then, you know, being the person that's getting the reading, you hand it to the person who's getting the reading, have them break the deck into 3, and then reorganize it. And then that's a way for them to get their energy on it. A couple other considerations when you are shuffling through your deck. So I don't necessarily count how many times I shuffle. I just feel good about it. I shuffle and feel good about it. But I also draw cards because this is another way to shuffle. This is probably the least effective way. So this is why I kind of marry it with that side shuffle. And then as I'm thinking about the card that I'm pulling, the question that we're asking, the energy that we're looking to explain, I do this, and then I take cards that jump out. A lot of readers don't take cards that jump out. Here's another kind of variation on that, doing it like this. This, though, is probably the least effective way to shuffle. But if this is how you're pulling, you can get some really random, you kind of randomize your cards if you pull this way. So whatever way speaks to you, that's what you should use. Whatever works for you, that's what you should use. There's no right or wrong way. I've seen videos like this where they tell people the right way, the wrong way to do it. And there is no right or wrong way. It's your practice and you should do it the way that you want. And then the other consideration, so like I said, you'll see my videos when I shuffle. If you see any of my readings, I shuffle usually like this. Sometimes, if it is some of these oracle decks, have much thicker cardstock, and they're very kind of sticky. So they're kind of hard to do it like that. So another way that you can pull a card after you've shuffled it is you can, see what I mean about sticky? You can pull things out like this. Sometimes clarifier cards will do like this, and then I have the person I'm reading for pull a card out of here, or I go through and I'm like, I need this card. This is the card I need to pull. Okay, so that's another strategy, another way to pull cards. Another way is just to do all of your shuffling until you're thoroughly the way that you want it. Have your person cut, you either cut the deck like that, or cut it into thirds and then rearrange it like this. And then you just start pulling cards off the top. And I know people who work always, so I know people who pull cards off the top like this, and then a lot of times you'll see where they talk about the back of the deck energy, like that adds into the reading. I usually don't use the back of the deck, but that's because they're just pulling off the top, and then they'll look at the back of the deck as an added thing in their reading. So those are just strategies that they're reading. As far as if you should do uprights or reversals, that again is completely up to you. When I first started learning, I thought that reversals were very intimidating to learn, the difference between an upright card or a reversed card. I thought that was really intimidating. There are 78 cards in a tarot deck. That is more than enough to get any type of answer that you're looking for. Because I found reversals intimidating, I use that as a challenge to myself to figure out what I was going to do with reversals. Sometimes you can read it as blocked energy. Sometimes you can read it as the shadow aspect of the Knight of Wands, because a lot of times in the definitions you'll have the light and the shadow, or the positive and the negative version, and I'll use the negative version as the reversal, or it's a blocked energy. Like, why am I not moving forward? Well, there's something in your way here. You're blocking this energy. Or there is kind of like an outward or an inward, like an extrovert or an introvert kind of way to look at it. Or there is like, this can just be the opposite of the Knight of Wands. So that is kind of up to you as well in your practice, and if you want to do reversals, if you don't want to do reversals. However, I will say that most of the professional readings that I get do not do reversals, but most of the professional readings that I get too also do a very structured reading, where this card means this card means this card means this card means this. So they use a specific, and it's not all the same. It's whatever spread, for the situation that they want to use, works for the question, that kind of thing. They'll use a very specific spread. So within the spread, they'll know if this is the shadow reading of the card, like what is holding you back, and then you get this, and then it's like, oh, okay, it's the shadow, or the negative aspect of this, oh, okay, it's the shadow meaning of that. So that's just a little extra info there on upright and reversals, because that is probably, if you want to cause a fight in a tarot room, a tarot group, a discussion group, just start talking about reading the cards upright or reversed. And there's a lot of strong opinions on that, and I don't think that there's a right way or a wrong way to do it. I think it's your way. The wrong way is going by somebody else's opinion because you don't have opinion of your own. This is your practice, and you need to decide what's right for you. Try it. If you don't like it, go back the other way, or just challenge yourself to try it. So that's what I have for you as far as how to shuffle your cards. If you have any questions, let me know and I'll do another video. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in the next video.